Hi everybody, welcome back. Welcome to Module 4, Part 2. In this video, we are going to cover how to tidy up and sort and filter your data using Microsoft Excel so that they are ready to be analyzed and visualized. So whether you choose to draw your data on P5.js or draw it analog with pencil and paper or use any other materials or mediums, compiling your data in an Excel spreadsheet is going to be immensely essential and helpful for you to be able to see your data organized in one place. If you didn't get the chance to join our session that covered the first two stages, which were about data storytelling and data collecting, then I just encourage you to join our Discord server with the link in the description below. And so then you will know when we hold these sessions next. And at this stage, be sure to have your dataset ready for your data viz project. And let's get started. Okay, so I am now in Excel, and this is the mock data set that we'll be using for this module and onwards. So this is a data set collected by one of our first team members, Erica. It is a data set of flowers based on what seasons they are in bloom and what colors they are. And then we've also prepared just a mock additional column of timestamps. This is not factual, so this column in particular is not factually correct, by the way. It's just there to kind of illustrate a few tricks in Excel that we'll learn later on. Source of this data goes to Red Earth Flowers, from which Erica took this information. You are free to use this mock data set, or you can use your own based on your own data viz project. And I will provide this raw data set in a link in the description below too for you to use. In our beginning workshop in Module 4, we talked a little bit about forming a data question, framing a question. So what is it that you want to know? What is it that you want to highlight from this data? And so my data question that I'm working with for this example is, what colors of flowers bloom in winter? So the special thing about this data set is you can work with the exact same one, but apply your own different question, such as, what colors of flowers bloom in summer or spring? Or you can also reverse the question and say, when do blue flowers bloom the most? Right? So you can either categorize it by color and ask the season. You can categorize it by season, ask the color. You can categorize it based on the year. What are the colors that bloomed the most in the year 2015 or something like that. But feel free to choose your own angle. If your dataset format is not Excel, and most of the time it won't be, so for example, it can be a CSV, HTML, or TXT. In order to import it into Microsoft Excel, which is where we'll be working, all you need to do is basically go to File, and there will be an option to import. If not that, you can also go to Data and Get Data, and you can use one of these. So if your dataset format is JSON, which is also commonly the case, I suggest a few JSON to CSV or JSON to Excel converters that you can find online. And again, I will link to those in the description below. You're going to find a lot of links in the description today. But yeah, so hopefully that helped in converting your JSON file into a CSV or an Excel, which you can then work with here. Cool. So if you are super new to Microsoft Excel, just some basic lingo to help you get started. So in here, every block, so every square like this, is called a cell. The rows go across and the columns go down. So that means this is column A, B, C, and D. This is row 1, 2, 3, and so forth. The first row is normally used as headers. So that's the first thing in our checklist, is to make sure that your headers are clear and legible and there are no spaces between them. So for example, if this were like flower name like that, you would want it to have either like an underscore in the middle of it, but sometimes I really just keep it to one word if possible, because that's going to be important in processing the data later on in your JavaScript program. The second thing in the checklist is to make sure that it's the data that you absolutely need. So as you can see, if I go all the way down, this data has about 500 rows, which should be fine, but to simplify things for myself, because my data question was what flowers are in bloom in winter, then I'm going to just filter everything down to only winter. You select all of your data, so I just hit Command A or Control A, and if you go to Home and here where it says Sort and Filter and just filter, this is going to be your new best friend. I'm going to make sure that I've saved a copy of this. So I've saved a copy of my full data set, and I'm going to save this one as a different one. So I'm going to flower season winter, right, or something like that. And I'm going to save it as a copy. Because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to deselect. Oh, sorry. I'm going to select everything but winter, and I'm going to apply that filter, and I'm basically going to delete all the rows that aren't winter because they are not relevant in the data visualization that I want. So I'm just going to select that from the top all the way to the bottom. I'm too lazy to do this, but I usually just go, what I just did was Command and then the down arrow, and it's going to jump to the very bottom edge of my data. And then I'm going to hold down Command Shift and then up. And then because it hits the header, I'm going to press Shift and then just go press the down arrow once again. And then I'm just going to right click and say delete row. I'm going to go all the way to the top again. And so as you can see, we're just down to the data for winter. Now I have a much smaller data set, but it contains only the stuff that I need for my visualization. So that's the second thing, is ensure that it's the data you absolutely need. The third and final thing on your checklist, make sure that there are no empty cells or rows or columns within your data set. This is really important. Make sure everything is, all of the information is dense and there. If you do have some empty cells, so just an example, right? I'm going to maybe delete this from my data set. Select any of these arrows that help you filter your column. And if you go scroll all the way down, you'll see that it says blanks here. So you can deselect everything and just select blanks, apply your filter. And so then what it does is it just summons back the rows that have a blank cell in them. So if I just delete this row, and then I did the same thing. So I go back and select all again. And so now the row is gone from my data. And yeah, given that there's no like important information on it, I'm going to summon that back because there was data in that one. But that was just to give you an example of how you could tackle that. Our main goal really in using Microsoft Excel is the more you can do with Excel, the more that you can tidy up your data, make it, kind of straightforward as possible in Microsoft Excel, then the easier time you'll have with drawing it in code. And I guess from personal experience, I also find that finding tricks for Excel is, of course, a lot easier than finding certain tricks in P5.js because Excel is so widely used with everyone in the corporate world. So you're going to find tons of forums and help desks and questions and answers on, doing really specific things within Microsoft Excel. So try and do as much as you can here so that you'll have an easier time later on. So for the next video, we are going to cover how we're going to do that. We're going to talk about a few features that Excel has, and we're going to try a couple of formulas to introduce you to how they work. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.